On episode 17 from Pan America series, there were some confusing roads in northern Peru. Then there were some confusing gasoline options. I met some South American bikers who gave me food and shelter. Then rode through some amazing roads and some terrible roads to a beautiful lake, some dogs chasing me, drank something which looked like piss, got a new rear tire, stared at a desert oasis. Then I was done with the coast and heading up into the mountains again. So, I was making my way up the mountains, and Peru was offering some dramatic views with some weird terrain formations. I mean, I have no idea what that white thing on the side of that mountain is. And weather could change any second to cold, rainy, and windy to make riding miserable. Alright, I'm up in the Andean range again, climbing to get to Ayacucho, eventually to Cusco. Oh, it's bloody cold here. There's nothing to do on the coast, so you climb up. The mountains, I mean, look around me, it's beautiful, but it's cold and the roads are unpredictable. And it can rain sometimes. So Peru is starting to get a little bit frustrating. Hopefully Cusco will change things for me. Fingers crossed. Anyway, I made it to Ayacucho, and I managed to get lost in a local marketplace. I felt a little better after seeing this guy, as I wasn't the only idiot riding through where I was not supposed to. And then there was this van, which lost its entire rear axle to the gutters. Anyway, after I found my way into the town, I had caught up with my Kiwi friend, Greg. And Greg had met his fellow countryman, Justin. I'll give his introduction here in a bit. The three of us hit the gas station. Fuel looked pink for some reason. Maybe it was the Peruvian strawberry blend fuel. With our tanks full, we started our way towards the world-renowned Machu Picchu. So, we were headed east on Highway 3S. Our plan was to cut in towards Machu Picchu, indicated by this white line, supposedly a Peruvian highway which looked promising initially with all the hillside plantations. Then the road went through some small towns before it completely ended. It turned out this quote-unquote highway becomes a mere hiking trail. Google Maps in Peru is not the most accurate. Our only option was to ride around to get to Machu Picchu. So we set up camp for the night randomly in someone's farm. As we cooked dinner on our camping stoves, we sat around and exchanged each other's lives and what led to doing a trip like this. I had already introduced you guys to Greg, the Kiwi biker who was going to ride around the world. And the other Kiwi, Justin, is an English teacher who taught in South Korea before he started his journey. He rode across Eurasia, went up to Norway and to the UK, flew to Canada, and was riding down to Argentina. What a journey! Anyway, the following morning, after packing our tents up from the campsite, we looked for breakfast in a brewery. The bearded gentleman here kindly gave us a tour of his brewery and went through the process of making a beer. He definitely knew what he was talking about, that is why he had grown a beard. Haha. It also had a mind your head sign which was rather dramatic.
Don't drink and walk down the stairs, you'll lose your head. I don't want to lose my head.
Definitely did not want to lose my head because there was this adorable kitty.
Yes, I've ordered.
Oh, he likes it.
Anyway, this newfound information on how to brew beer and maybe a pint or two in the gut, we set out towards Machu Picchu. This, my viewers, was just the road to Machu Picchu. I mean, even the road repairs were beautiful. I could only imagine how Machu Picchu would actually be. Since we were all traveling on a budget, we were definitely not willing to spend all our fortunes on just one place. I mean, I get it, it's a wonder of the world, but $200 for a 3-hour train journey is just extortion. So our plan was a little different. We were basically going to ride till Hydroelectrica, pretty self-explanatory, a hydroelectric plant. The road was basically gravel and pretty gnarly, but not difficult. So you pay $2 for camping at Hydroelectrica, start the 12-kilometer hike to Machu Picchu the following morning. It took us along the rail tracks along Urubamba River and over this beautiful rusty bridge. And here comes the $200 Inca rail train ride from Cusco.
Yeah, apparently there is, yeah, based on that.
The last kilometer was straight up the mountainside over a bunch of switchbacks. And there it was. Oh, no, that was just a bunch of tourists. Let's try it again. And there it was. Machu Picchu in all its glory. Initially, when I was considering visiting Machu Picchu on this trip, I did not have high expectations. I knew it was going to be touristy and crowded, which it was, don't get me wrong. But boy oh boy, despite it being touristy, this view was worth it. There was something about this place, the setting, the Inca ruins in the jungle, and the low cloud-clad and mystic peaks in the background just makes this place magical and totally worth the long hike or even an expensive train. Built as a royal estate for the generals and emperors of the Incas, they stayed here for a mere 100 years. For all the effort it took, Incas inhabited here just 100 years. So Machu Picchu was a failure historically speaking. But today, it's deemed a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the 7 wonders of the world. Failure then, but it's a huge commercial success today. Anyway, behind the camera, there were plenty in line waiting for their picture to be taken. On the other hand, there were people changing 50 different costumes for that perfect Instagram picture, keeping everyone else waiting. This is the reality, unfortunately. Being in the jungle in the monsoon, it naturally started to rain. But filming in rain was no problema to my waterproof gear. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, I should have got me a guide to walk through here. I really wasn't thinking. For example, I had no idea why the structure was collapsing and was never restored. Maybe it was purposely left this way to show an historical significance. Or who lived in these amazing living quarters? I would highly recommend a guide to anyone who plans to visit Machu Picchu in the future. With or without a guide, Machu Picchu was magnificent. I did not care for it being touristy or expensive because it was spectacular and totally worth it. Finally, we made our way out of Machu Picchu and I saw this rather bizarre sign. No drones? Definitely. No selfie sticks and smoking? Understandable. But no umbrellas? I mean, this place is in the jungle and we were in the middle of monsoon. But no umbrellas. I get it, your umbrella shouldn't block tourists from their views, but this rule still does not make sense to me. Anyway, we hiked down the switchbacks, took a final glimpse of this serene landscape, filled my lungs with the freshest air nature can offer. We bid goodbye to Machu Picchu and hiked down to the nearest town, Aguas Caliente. Now, Aguas Caliente is the tourist gateway to Machu Picchu. The railway track is a typical sight since this town is only connected by railroad. Not just railroad tracks, trains moving through here is also a common sight, just like cars on the road in your town. Except that you'll need to sell your kidneys to be able to afford a train ticket. Anyway, we hiked 12 kilometers back to our campsite at Hydroelectrica, packed our tents up, rode past this tunnel which looked like it was drilled to the center of the earth, rode across this sketchy bridge which had no safety railing on either side, took the gnarly road back, and rode down towards Cusco. We chose the unpaved and beaten back roads over the smooth paved roads because, well, we are adventure bikers. Roads which can get such big semi-trucks stranded, but we somehow managed to make our way out. Such roads led us to Cusco, which is where I'll end this episode. Stick around with Dual Spirit Adventures. Guys, if you have enjoyed the series, please subscribe to my channel. It is a ton of work to get this together, and liking and subscribing is the only way you guys can return the favor to me. Until next time, cheers!